Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I am your host, Ty Spiker Christensen. Son of a stole my line. And we've got Jordan Christensen on the podcast.
Oh, you threw me off with that quote.
That was your line. You were going to take that one too.
Oh, well, Cameron, I'm assuming is going to take, how you like that?
Everyone knows the quote.
Yeah,
everyone knows the quote.
Everybody's going to say that one.
And that's when you say, that son of a bee stole my line. And we've got Cameron Mickle on the podcast.
That was my line, but how you like me now? My boy's wicked smart.
Wicked smart. Wicked smart.
She fights.
That's not how he sounds.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine if he was hamming up the Boston accent? Anyway. All right. We've got LB. I don't remember your first name. LB on the podcast.
It's Lindsey. Okay. You don't have to. You can just
Lindsey,
call me LB.
Yeah. LB is a cool. It's a cool name. It's a cool acronym, I guess. LB is on the podcast. Lindsey.
Yes. Hi.
Last name B.
I swallowed a bug. That's my favorite quote.
That makes me think of.
I ate too much, so I told him to go. I swallowed a bug.
It's like so random.
That reminds me of Dumb and Dumber. It's like, hey, you want to get a bite to eat? It's like, no, I swallowed a big June bug on the way over here. It's so funny.
I swallowed a bug.
So, if you haven't if you haven't guessed what movie we're reviewing today, we're discussing Good Will Hunting. This movie came out in 1997. It was directed by Gus Van Sant. And it was written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Isn't that interesting? You know, Matt Damon wanted to play himself as wicked smart. I'm super smart. My intellect is matched like nobody else.
It kind of felt like Tommy Wiseau writing a script for himself.
He's the hero. He's the good guy. Everyone wants to be him. He stands up.
I'm a hero.
Smart.
I'm an inventor.
Go save a cat up a tree, you freaking. Sorry, that was a line from The Departed, a very different movie. But honestly, I probably watched The Departed 10 times over watching Good Will Hunting, even though this movie makes me feel considerably much better. It's a much better feel-good movie. Not that The Departed isn't trying to be a good feel-good movie, but I definitely get a bigger rush watching The Departed. So let's get into this movie. It stars Matt Damon. It's got Ben Affleck, Robin Williams, and a few other people.
Casey Affleck.
Yeah,
Casey Affleck. The sad fleck. Yeah, the sad fleck. Yeah. And Stellan Skarsgård. That's the one I wanted to mention. And then everybody else doesn't matter.
Minnie Driver? You got to get a female in there. Minnie Driver. Come on.
No. See, this is before. Women did not matter in this movie. In fact, I don't think there's a single role in this movie that matters that is played by a female. I think that the girl he's trying to get matters to Damon, and we're supposed to care about her.
We do. We do.
I like
We
her.
do care about her? You kind of
We care about her because she reveals such a big part of him, don't you think?
Yes. You just don't want to settle down. You want to hang out with your dumb, drunk buddies because the world's a scary place and you don't want to be recruited by the FBI, CIA, and everything else. So, but yes, this movie was very much written by a Damon and an Affleck. And it's funny because, I want to know what it was like watching this movie for the first time. I didn't see this movie until 4 or 5 months ago for the first time. So This is a movie that's flown under my radar. I've seen every single clip. I've already seen all the monologues. I performed some of these monologues at my acting classes back in college. I know everything about this movie. I just never watched it in its entirety. And I remember thinking there was nothing in it that necessarily surprised me. It was exactly what I anticipated for the movie. And it was good. I liked it. It's a feel-good movie. I don't know how rewatchable it is. But anyway.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I'm crazy.
I'm
I
gonna
know.
argue you.
There's many. Yes, please do. Convince me that I want to watch it again because now that I know what happens. Although to watch Robin Williams, that was a treat. So it's aged like fine wine because rest in peace, Robin Williams. We're so sad to see you're gone now because
I know.
His performance.
Amazing.
Unreal. Unmatched. So why don't you start us off, Lindsey? What was it like watching it for the first time and then rewatching it for the podcast?
Okay, yeah. So I watched this. Actually, I didn't even put this together. I watched this in Boston. That's funny.
Yes.
So
Boston.
Wicked, sexy, smart.
That's so funny that I just realized that now. But yeah, so I was living with my brother in Boston for the summer, and this was my first rated R movie. So it was big. It was big. So I was not like, I wouldn't say I was a prude by any means, but rated R movies like kind of scared me. So I don't know. I don't remember how my brother convinced me to watch it, but he did.
Well, probably as a kid, you're like thinking like, well, every rated R movie is either The Exorcist.
Yeah.
You're like, rated R movies are scary movies. And you're like, oh, this is like a very sweet film.
Yeah. Like I never thought they were bad. They just like intimidated me. I just wanted to stick with like Harry Potter and Gilmore Girls and, the safe stuff. So
it doesn't get safer than the Gilmore Girls.
No, it doesn't. So my brother convinced me to watch it, and yeah, it was, ever since then, it just was like one of my favorite movies, and it was my gateway drug into... No, that makes it sound bad, but it was my gateway
we call it
into...
the Great Awakening. That's what I call it.
Yeah, no, seriously, like ever since then, it opened the door into so many like life-changing movies. So yeah, Good Will Hunting always has that place in my heart that's just like, yeah, that was the time that I changed my cinematic experience. And it was just like, I mean, I'll save some of that for watching it for the podcast, but it was my first experience with a movie that was about deep life stuff, I feel like. So yeah, I don't know. As like a fresh 20-something-year-old, I was just like, had my eyes open, my mouth open, and I was like, oh, okay. This
There's
is like...
more to movies than Transformers.
Yep. There's more to Gilmore Girls and Harry Potter.
And then, Linz, what was it like rewatching it for the pod?
Yeah, and so I rewatched it last night, and I feel like rewatching it reminded me what it was like watching it for the first time. But now, like, as I'm a little bit older, I feel like I got to see, like, what I was exposed to, but now I kind of understood what I was exposed to, which was, like, basically life is brutal, but if you don't step into it, you're not going to get to experience the joy either. And I feel like that theme is like literally everywhere. It's sprinkled with his girlfriend, with his therapist, with his friends. So I feel like rewatching it made me realize like, wow, I watched this when I was a lot younger and I didn't realize how much that impacted me to what life is really about, I guess.
That's really deep stuff, you know. We should have you on the podcast to discuss deeper things. We barely scratched the surface here, but that was great.
I feel like, yeah, I mean, it's like such a fun movie and you get to see the like guys hanging out and it's fun. But I really feel like if you pick it apart, it is deep. Like, and it's impressive that they wrote it at such a young age. It's like, I wonder if they knew that stuff, if they had experienced it, or if they were just like getting insight from other people. But I do feel like it is a deep movie.
Yeah, it's deep, but you know what would make this movie better if it was an all-female cast. I think we would really benefit from a retelling of this movie from a female perspective.
Maybe they could do a part, like a part 2, 30, 40 years
How
later.
you like them eggplants? All right, folks. Cameron, what was it like watching it for the first time, rewatching it for the podcast?
So similar to LB, I remember the first time I watched this, it was my senior year in high school. It was after I watched, for me, LB, the Great Awakening movie was Inglourious, and I was just like, I need to watch every good movie ever. And so this was when I still had the rule of, because Jordan was showing me all these good movies, and my rule was no more than 10 F words, and then we had to watch it on VidAngel, but this movie wasn't on VidAngel, and so this is the first movie that we were like, and Jordan was like, it's so pretty good. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And oh my gosh, yeah, first watch.
So Jordan peer pressured you into watching it. Very good. Like a good older brother.
No, I made the decision.
No,
What's it called?
That's great. I probably mentioned on this podcast, but my favorite story is Jordan. See, you say this really innocent story. Jordan took a movie case and photoshopped or cut out PG-13 and stuck it and glued it on the movie case of Equilibrium. And he's like, oh, watch this PG-13 movie with me. And then he's like, so Ty, how'd you like it?
Wow.
How'd you like it, Ty? And I was like, oh, it's a great movie. And he's like, it was rated R.
It was for your own
tricked
good.
me into thinking it was PG-13, and I watched it not knowing.
That is
anyway.
so funny.
And now I've
That's
corrupted
my
him
story.
ever since.
Yes, no. I've been no holds barred. I am a garbage disposal. I watch everything. But that made me laugh because it was one of those things where Jordan tricked me, and I, not knowing that it was R the whole time, and at the end confessing it was good, just to have him be like, "Hey, you like those brownies? They're made of guano."
And then, so yeah, watch it for the first time. I was just so impressed. Kind of like LB talked about, of the different balances in the movie, which that they do it really well. And I was just like, wow, this movie is so amazing, and the performances are amazing. And then rewatching it for the pod, I was just, it's one of those things that I totally disagree, Ty, about the rewatchability. Like, it's one of those things where it's almost impossible to just watch a few scenes of this movie because, like, there's so many really good scenes that I'm like, oh, I'll just watch this scene. I'm like, oh, and this scene, and this scene, and this scene. Okay, I'm pretty much watching the entire movie again. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, every single time I've watched this, it's gone higher and higher up on my top 100 list. And I'm pretty sure right now it's at 18 or 19 on my top 100 list. So,
Yeah, I love what you said. And while I have this thought in my head, it's funny that you said you watched this the first time in high school, because I watched this with my brothers-in-law, and I felt like he was very much just like you, Karen, very inspired. And he's like, I'm quirky, I'm weird, I'm super smart, I'm smarter than all these other idiots that I go to high school with. Like, this movie's about me. I see myself in Matt Damon. And
Talking about Harry?
No, I'm talking about Jackson. But it makes me laugh because I'm watching this movie with him, and it made me think of you watching Donnie Darko, and you're like, he's the savior of his high school. He's self-sacrificed. Like,
I never
that
thought I
special.
was the savior. I just love Jake Gyllenhaal.
But you see yourself as him, and me and Jordan talked about this. Like, dude, the reason you love this movie, and so do all freaking
You just assume I'm a
Gen Zers,
narcissist. And
just this narcissist
egotistical,
generation.
think everything's about me.
And that's why, anyway, I love it. I do love it. And that's not so much with this film, but I got that from him, and I was like, I feel like you see a lot of yourself in the protagonist.
Well, no,
as I get older, I realize I'm the scars guy. I'm telling my kids, like, hey, you better be brushing up. You better be freaking doing your chores. You better be doing what your parents ask you. We expect a lot of you. You know, I'm the scar. I'm the villain.
I think the great thing about the show is it talks about it's just essentially like the part of that male fantasy of like having a friend or like being that friend who's like super smart, like still one of the boys, but super smart to like defend the boys around like really rude, smart, intelligent people. Because like that's what I love is that scene when Ben Affleck's just getting like, he's like, oh, I think we had history together. Like they're in college. Like obviously you don't have just history class. And then the guy's just trying to make fun of him, and he's just like, and then he just exposes him. He's like, you're literally just copying and pasting information from a textbook.
Oh yeah,
Plagiarism.
so satisfying.
Yeah.
He like nails him
He
to
just
the wall.
owns him with words, man. Just owns him with his intellect.
And then
you
and then he also throws in that he's like, and if there is a problem, we could take this outside. There's not a problem.
Yeah.
It just like exposes him on all fronts. He's just like, I'm smarter than you, and I could beat you up with my friends.
Yeah.
I could take you out back and beat you to death in Boston. Don't want to bat an eye here. That's great. Jordan, how about you, man? Watching it for the first time, rewatching it for the pod?
I honestly can't remember the first time I saw this, but it was probably just on Netflix at some point in time.
Pretty forgettable. Had it playing in the background.
No.
You're like, there's not enough action. When
That
is
is-
Matt Damon going to stab somebody?
That's not what I said. Loved it, and then rewatching it, I was very reluctant to watch this because it's a tie. I love when you use the word "muy heavy." It's just, it's just a film that like, oh no, I don't know if I can take such an emotional weight right now. But after watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so good, and it reminds me a lot of like, not The Departed. What's the other one with Robin Williams?
The other one? there's
No,
Robin Williams was in more than one other
I know,
movie.
but the film where he was like, it was also very heavy. Dead Poet Society.
Oh.
Also,
Yes.
also a film I feel like you need to be in the right mood for because it's like, oh geez, am I ready to take on all this? It's a lot of emotion. So, but
It literally is the same movie if you think about it. I was going to say, like, there is a archetype out there, and Robin Williams is the guy you would want to star in your movie because it's the overbearing parent or teacher or guy that expects more of Matt Damon or of Ethan Hawke's character, you know, and pushes him to insanity because they're like have these high expectations and no love, and you're never going to amount to anything, and this crushing weight of expectations, and this movie gets to that because we've all been there. Whether it was like, do better in your grades. Who didn't have a parent that yelled at them for one bad grade? Like for Cameron, it was getting a B. For me, it was like I'm getting C's and D's, and they're like, I know you can be better than this. I'm like, it's a 7-point grading scale. A 92% is a B plus. How is this fair? So anyway.
Robin
I still
Williams,
complain about that.
He can grow an amazing beard. I just gotta say,
Yeah,
holy
he
cow.
can.
Did look good.
I'm so glad he didn't have a fake one like in The Chosen, the John the Baptist and that rat beard.
I don't know. Was it fake? I mean, it just looked really wispy. Definitely looked fake. This was great. Loved it. All right, let's get into two of our favorite things from this movie. Why don't you start off, Cameron?
Yeah, so I think my favorite thing about this movie is kind of what I mentioned. I think it does a great job of balancing that like tone of deep, but at the same time, like comedic and fun. Because I feel like it's just a really good representation of how Will tries to live his life. And I think that's what it did, a really good representation of why, especially for guys, it's sometimes harder to open up. And that's why I thought it was really cool, because there was never like a moment that was like prepared for like a guy to be super deep, like for Ben Affleck to be super deep with Matt Damon. But it was just like that one moment where he talked about, I was like, oh yeah, I just want to be doing this with you, man. And then he just like, are you kidding me? He's like, like, I will kill you if you're still doing this in 20 years. And he's like, that's not a threat, that's a promise. And he just explains to him of like, and I think it's important, especially because a lot of people have been telling him kind of these things of like, oh, you don't want to waste your talent. But to hear it from someone who knows you for who you are and is your best friend and like has your best interests at heart, to hear him talk about that, he's like, any one of us would kill to have what you have. And he's like, and the best part of my day is those 20 seconds when I just imagine you went away and you like saying no goodbyes, and you just went on and made. At first, I was like, "Why are you kidding me? Wouldn't want to say goodbye to your best friend?"
That's right.
But that's because he wants what's best for him. He's just like, there's so much more this world has to
He's
offer
like,
you.
get on up out of here.
Yeah,
Get out of here.
And that's what I love is like it's just like his Boston and like 20-year-old way of saying like, dude, there's so much more this world has to offer you than like what you're like taking right now. He's like, we're literally just dead weight carrying on you and hanging on you. It's like, you're so much smarter than us. You could be at Harvard and all these things, but like you're one of the smartest people ever. And then you're wasting time with us idiots. And I felt like that moment and moments like that, same thing with Robin Williams, where he'll have moments with Matt Damon where he just completely exposes him and just for who he is. And then that's why I just think it makes their relationship so interesting. Whereas that moment when he says like, it's not your fault, and he just like, and Matt Damon starts breaking down and just like cries in his arms. I think it's so beautiful because that it just makes it like so satisfying because that arc, because you see he tries to put on this mantra of I'm perfect, and he's done that because of all the damage in his past, and so he wants to be in his mind perfect, but doesn't want anyone to like he loves exceeding the expectations. So his biggest fear is probably just like underachieving because he knows he's been given so much. And then my second favorite thing is I just think the performances. I just think this is one of those movies that I thought was just perfectly casted. Like every single character, I was just like, oh, what a perfect looking, like all the therapists he dealt with, like they just look like weird therapists. All of his friends, they just look like those type of friends who, like, I love Casey and Ben Affleck's banter. I'm like, you could tell they're actual real life brothers just because of the things they say to each other. And they're like, yeah, you stupid idiot. It's like the line LB said, like, I swallowed a bug. Like just that awkward friend thing to like, no, I need to leave the situation because a girl just came to talk to you, but I don't know what to say. So just saying a random thing and then leaving. So I just thought that's what made the characters more real and just put you in the story really well. And that's what made you really invested in the people.
Yeah, I'm so
Brilliant.
glad he got Robin Williams because he didn't have to take up this project because these guys have never done a movie before. This is their first movie, so he could have been like, no thanks.
Yeah, I wonder if he was moved by the script or something about the because it really does call. I think it best reaches Robin Williams, especially what we know about him now. Hindsight, he's like a very tragic character, one of the funniest working comedians to date, and arguably ever, and tragically taking his own life. This movie really speaks to that, living up to those expectations and that crushing weight of living up to all that's expected of you. So that's some heavy stuff. So anyway, I'll deviate. Lindsey, what would you say your two favorite things from this film are?
I would say my number one was probably Sean and Will's like relationship throughout the whole movie and seeing like how it developed. I thought it was cool. See, this is why you have to rewatch it because I didn't know this the first time, like I didn't notice. But when Will first comes in, he's like way across the room in that chair. And then like the second to last scene, they're literally sitting right across from each other. And I'm like, how cool. I did not even notice that. And then obviously that final, like they're literally hugging.
Inching closer.
Yeah, they couldn't be closer. So, oh my gosh, I just freaking love Sean. Like, he's so cool. He's like such a safe person, yet he's so good at like smacking down the boundaries right from the beginning, which is exactly what he needs, right? He needs like love plus boundaries. He's had neither. And so like just to see that type of person come into Will's type of character's life and like totally like completely transform him is the whole reason why I love the movie. So that's probably my number one, is their relationship. And then honestly, probably my second is Robin Williams' relationship with his wife. I freaking love that. From the very beginning, that's like an integral part of their therapy. It's like his first boundary he
You don't think
sets.
it's a bit extreme, though? I feel like he's a little obsessed. Like, can't let her go.
No.
Move on, dude. Die. Get over it.
No. I don't.
Okay.
I agree with LB. I think it's one of those things that it's so good for Will to see this dude who's like at his same level intelligence in a different way, but at his same level, but be so human and vulnerable with somebody and show him like there. And I think that's what shows Will that there's so much more to life than just being smarter than being the smartest person in the room. That he's like, it doesn't matter, like those little idiosyncrasies only I know. Those are the things that made me made her my wife. And I think that was something that was super like important for Will to see. It's just because he just sees people as, oh, you're imperfect, you're not good at this, I'm better than you at this, and just saw everything as a kind of a competition. And he was just like, the imperfections are the best part of my wife. Like that's what made her my wife, because everyone knew all the good parts about her, but like only I knew the things that like her little flaws and little like not even flaws, idiosyncrasies of like farting in her sleep and waking up the dog. And I just love that scene of like that's when you truly see their relationship blossom, and just Will is like crying, laughing, and he's got that like the little snort laugh.
Yeah.
And then you just see you're like, wow.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Keep
So
going, Karen. You're doing great.
no, to answer your question, no, it's not too much. It's perfect.
It's too much. A bit too much. Yeah, it's perfect.
No, I love it. I feel like it's it's Sean's vulnerability. His wife is his vulnerability, and that's how they bond. They're not going to bond if he doesn't have a vulnerability.
I don't know, guys. As I get older and crotchetier, I think Lambeau had the right idea. He's like, yeah, you're throwing away all this potential.
He's the worst. I hate him.
He's great, dude. Great.
He's fun to hate. I love him. He's a great.
He is fun to hate. Yeah.
He's in Insomnia, but the original. I'm trying to think. He's in all those Marvel movies. He's the guy that with the. He's always like working on the. Is it called the Tesseract?
Yeah,
What's that square thing?
Yeah, he's in the first
He's the nerd
Avengers
in
movies.
Thor.
Yeah,
exactly.
he's also in Thor.
Oh, he's the floating dude in Dune. That's who I was like. What is
Oh,
he?
yeah, you're thinking
Yeah.
of villain roles? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bathing in oil. Yeah, great stuff. Jordan, how about
All right,
you?
sorry,
Two-
did you say your second thing? It was Robin
Yeah,
Williams. Oh, and the
then
other
Robin, his
relationship.
relationship.
that
Sorry.
better be two, because that took long enough. Jordan, how about you? Two of your favorite things.
Shoot. Oh, I love when Robin Williams puts this kid in his place. It was so good. He's like, you know what I just realized? He's like, you're a dumb kid. And he's like, and then I slept like a baby. Beautiful.
It's such a good scene.
Yeah. And then him choking kids. Like, you don't see that enough in movies anymore. Child abuse.
Yeah, dude, sometimes you just need to, Well, again, the fact that he is a college student, right? Is he technically a kid? They keep pointing to the fact that he's like
Well,
a
he's
delinquent.
not in
and
college. He's a college janitor, but yeah.
Right, but no, he's a delinquent at high school age, right? I can't even remember his age in this movie
He's
because Matt Damon
20.
clearly is like 20-something.
Oh.
He's
Okay.
20. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's still like on parole and stuff.
Not a
yeah.
minor. Okay, it's all right then.
Exactly.
Yeah, 'cause when
two
he-
guys
when
having
he-
it out.
Talking to, having it out. Exactly.
Because when he was in jail, that guy was like, hey, you want some of this? And then he's like, oh, I remember you from Juvie. He's like, how you doing, man?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. See, I knew that he was because
But
he's
yeah,
degenerate at the
he
high
obviously had trouble
college
past
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And then
For sure.
obviously the underdog, I mean, in all sports, anything, you always root for the underdog. So
This does very much feel like a sport movie.
yeah, it's like
You
the
know,
kid
has
that,
theme.
he's
the mathlete. He could be anything, right? This could be the spelling bee. This could be the math, whatever it's called, the mathalon.
yeah,
or
he's
what they
rooting
call
for
it.
all the, I mean, he's helping out the kids that are getting picked on, and it like you can tell there's a difference in class throughout the film. And you get that vibe from the character we just talked about, how much we hate, is because he's just like, he needs to live with the finer people. And I just love how Robin Williams is like, he's amongst the people in that bar. Just, he can interact with anybody. And it like, class doesn't matter to him. I just love that. Mm-hmm. And
Genuine people interest him.
and
you know?
he's just like, you know who Einstein is, right? And you know who this is? And he's like, no. Just throws out somebody that becomes like their name just disappeared in the distance. So I don't know. I love that. It's a great movie. It's a good movie, guys.
Yeah. All right. I would say I like the dialogue. I think this is it's one of those movies where you're like, early days of Tarantino and even Matt Damon, they're writing grisly, down-to-earth movies that weren't solely to entertain and just off the cuff, where a lot of actors just riffed. Like, this was like a well-structured story. It's got really good, compelling dialogue, which holds up today, where it feels very authentic.
It's got heart.
It's got hot. I didn't even understand what you were saying. Yeah, it does have heart. Thank you, you Boston freak. And the way they talk to each other, they're like very insulting and demeaning, and I like that because I never had a single friend that said anything nice about me my entire high school. You know, like seriously, that was exactly how you talk to your friends. You would trash and drag them across concrete. Like you just wanted to mock them, tear them down. Like that's what a good friend does.
Unless somebody else tried to do that outside of
Until,
your friend group. And
yeah,
you're like,
and
screw
anyone,
you. This
anyone
is, my
else,
boy's
and then you all
wicked smart.
band
How do you like me now?
Yeah. Then you all band together and you toilet paper or egg someone's house. Exactly. So.
Have you seen Manchester by the Sea, LB?
No, but I've heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's
even more
also
of
a
a sad
Boston
Affleck.
film. Yeah,
Sad
sad
Should I
Affleck.
watch it?
It's
No, it's the
sad
most
flicks.
punishing movie.
Yes,
If you
it's
like
the
sad
most-
movies like this, then you're gonna love it.
It's
Okay.
It's Casey Affleck's best performance.
I
I've
want to
ever seen.
rescind my comment about this being the least rewatchable. I think Manchester by the Sea and The Road are the two least Oh, Requiem for a Dream. Throw that one in
Oh,
there.
God.
Ty was,
Three
that's just 'cause
least
Ty was
rewatchable movies
depressed
of all
after
time.
watching the movie. He loved it.
He doesn't
just,
like sad
So
movies.
bleak. No, I like sad movies.
Okay.
I don't like punishing movies.
I don't think Good Will Hunting's a sad movie though.
No, that's what I said was I rescind my comment earlier. This is much more rewatchable than Requiem, than Sad Flick.
Okay.
Manchester
What
by
was
the
it
Sea.
called?
Manchester's a little more
and
sad.
The Road.
Okay. I'll save that for a sad day.
It's
Just a little more
It's just
sad.
really real.
This movie's a freaking Care Bears special compared to what the freaking Manchester by the Sea was. Anyway, not
This is
spoiling
really
it.
motivating
Holy
me to watch it.
crap. You're like, I love to feel sad. I love an emotional cry. I'll be a wreck. I'll be a pitching wreck watching that.
All right.
Manchester by the Sea.
It's on my list.
Manchester see these tears. And we're like, okay, all right, folks. My
The dad
second
jokes are
good.
real.
I know they're good.
Horrendous is what they are.
I was trying to think of another one like water, sea, all the
Stop,
tears
just
flowing.
stop, move
You'll
on.
create the sea.
Move on. The joke came and left.
Hey, this is a live performance, folks.
Didn't
okay?
they want to
With
take
this
the
material.
script from them as well? They didn't even want them to act in it because none of
Like,
them were.
yeah, but David, you're all right. we don't believe you're the wicked smart as you pretend to be. Yeah. I bet. I mean, it's just like anyone that hasn't proven themselves. You're like, who's gonna go see Matt Damon? Who the freak is Matt Damon?
Yeah.
And like shortly, what was it? Like immediately after this, or he did? Which did he do
Saving
first?
Private
Bourne?
Ryan?
Well, he did Private Ryan later.
Yeah.
Private Ryan was later, but did he do? Was this his debut? It was either this
I'm
or it
pretty
was.
sure it's all
pretty
three
sure
of theirs.
Bourne was like his second or
It's
third.
been-
It's like very quickly.
Casey.
Sad Affleck, and then
His name is Casey.
Oh, that's right. It was all three of their debuts,
yeah,
right?
because they're all
But
good
not
friends.
really, because I know Ben Affleck had done something when he was younger.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, he did something when he was way young. and It's funny to watch now.
Well,
But
it was
yeah,
their breakout role essentially.
Yes, for sure. You know, set them apart from all the other actors. So yeah, the dialogue was great, and then I
your
like the
second?
flow of the story. Flow of the story's good. Just like very consistent. It's told chronologically, believe it or not. You tell a good, compelling, interesting story that carries from the beginning to the movie to the end. Why don't we cut to 3 weeks earlier when you were dead? When you're still alive. It's just funny because every movie now is like, again, Tarantino has always had the style of telling a movie out of order, but every single fetching scene is amazing and exciting. It's not like he literally had to start. In fact, Quentin Tarantino, I feel like, starts the movie with the least interesting scene, and you find out it's the most interesting scene. Anyway, whatever. What I'm saying is, this is a well-told story, and it's chronological, and it's not nonsense.
The randomest
so,
rant ever.
It is, but I just noticed as I'm watching all this garbage that's on streaming these days, I'm like, does anyone care
Because
about
you keep
story?
watching anything that Disney pushes out, dude.
Yes,
What the
you've
fuck is
been
wrong with you?
You've been
You're
eating
disgusting.
everything Disney. Stop.
Yeah, Ty's just like, give me more trash. Yum yum trash.
Yeah, dude, I love it.
Yum, yum.
They're so bad. I'm baffled by the stuff that's on streaming services now. My goodness,
It's
it's
true.
like it
It's
almost
not
reminds
worth
me of
your
like
time, Ty. Miss
Yeah,
Marvel
yeah.
isn't worth
It's
your
like-
time.
It's like they're literally rushing to make a production just so they can have another screen. So when you scroll through your options, there's another option there. Even if it's absolute trash, it's like, here's another show. It's like, the show's not done. It's not completed. It isn't good. Yeah, but it's another show. And where else you're gonna go? We're on one of 4 or 5 streaming services
All right,
that you actually subscribe
come
to.
back to the movie.
Passion. So much passion.
I think my brain is fried. I need to sit down. Okay, do you guys have any
Quotes.
nitpicks or things? Yeah,
Nitpicks.
quotes.
Well, I want to get into I just want to say a couple more things that I love about the movie, and
Oh my gosh. There you go.
gosh, about how amazing this is. Because I just think there's so many different layers to this movie, and kind of like what I
Oh,
talked about
onions
is
have layers.
I hate you guys. And so that's what I
Cakes
think.
have layers.
One of my favorite things about this is kind of like Ty mentioned is that was a very accurate representation of kind of how, like, especially boys that age range, like 18 to 20, like it's such a weird mix because you're starting to mature as a person. And so it's just more awkward for guys, especially, to have those deep talks about kind of life, because that's what you can even see Ben, like they just avoid kind of even the basic talk of life, of like, he didn't even know that his girlfriend had left. He's like, oh, when did that happen? He's like, oh yeah, she left to California. He's like, oh, like a week ago. And he was just like, what are you doing? And so I think it's one of those, it's the most natural and just like real representation of kind of boy friendships, of just a lot of times you don't talk about how they're really doing. It's just a lot of the basic stuff. You make fun of them, but then you have those moments where you're, Jordan, I know you're going to try to say something to negate what I'm about to say.
No, I'm waiting to hear you say really realistic.
Oh my gosh. No.
It's really realistic.
It is really realistic of just how life and relationships are.
It's really real.
I think that's what makes Robin Williams so awesome as well, is I just think he's such a perfect piece in his life, and that's, I love where he exposes and essentially explains to him why he doesn't want to get close with the girl, is because all of his friends view him as perfect. They're like, there's literally nothing wrong with this guy. This guy has everything I ever wanted. But then this girl is like, oh, there's things that's like wrong with you and things you can improve on, and obviously things I can improve on. And that's the thing that scares him most, is that there's someone who sees him as like not perfect. And so that's what Robin Williams talks about, and that's kind of what I mentioned, is that he's like, that's where true fulfillment comes from, is showing someone and opening up to someone that you are perfect and them loving that.
That's great.
Amen.
One thing that aged poorly is baseball. No one cares about baseball anymore, so just
What?
isn't baseball really important to him? Or am I confusing my
Well,
movies?
he gave up. Remember, he didn't watch the game, so he could.
Yeah, you didn't watch the
be
game.
with
Yes.
that girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like very
I don't
sweet
care if
story.
Troy walked in.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. He's like, I would have never missed it, which is really sweet. But again, I'm like, I could turn down any sport for a girl.
Well, that's because your priorities always
I
laid
just
in
don't
a different
understand
position.
sports. I
Ty.
don't get them. They're fun to play. That's pretty much it. I do not get why people get so much money for playing sports. It's ridiculous.
The same reason
Not even fun to-
the
not
same
even
reason that
that fun
actors
to
get so
watch.
much money for watching movies you enjoy.
I
Ty.
know, right? Yeah. But see, them,
good
I at
point.
least get more out of it.
You're paying Disney time money for Miss Marvel. You're the reason Miss Marvel's getting a lot of money.
No, believe it or not, I actually had a conversation with Jordan about
Miss
this.
Marvel.
Yes.
Oh.
In fact, I watched everything. The only thing, I haven't watched one Star Wars franchise and one superhero franchise. I haven't watched Captain Marvel yet. I will watch it someday. I just haven't gotten around to Brie Larson. She's so unbearable. But I've heard it's not the worst Marvel movie there is. That's reserved for...
the best.
It's not the best. But that's reserved for... gosh, I can't even
Don't
think of
say
it.
Black Widow.
That one was pretty bad because
Yeah,
I was
oh.
disappointed I spent money in it.
Yeah, you
But-
shouldn't. That's your first mistake. Going to the theater to see a Marvel movie.
Expecting to be entertained as an adult, yeah, you're like
paying more
what
than
am I doing
$5
here?
Tuesday for a Marvel movie.
What's
nowadays.
I'm looking at Disney, the Mickey Mouse. I'm like, what's going on here? What are we doing here? The lights, the camera. What's going on? It's dumb. It's all dumb. It's dumb entertainment. So anyway, and then the Star Wars thing I haven't watched was Boba Fett. Don't know if I'll get around to it, but anyway, those two I'll have to end up watching so I can say I've watched all of them, and I feel empty. I now feel empty, and I have for a long time, ever since I don't know, Endgame maybe, Infinity War, Civil War. I
Ty
don't know.
needs a therapy session.
Probably.
Yes.
You're like, it's not your fault that they're bad.
And then
It's not your fault.
after
It's
that,
not
Ty's
your
going to
fault.
ask, does this violate the doctor-patient relationship? Not unless you grab...
I love that part.
But again, he did strangle him earlier. So again, does that violate? It did not, because he was being a jerk and he deserved it, right? It's one of those things. I guess that's just how therapists are in Boston. You should cut like a super cut of this video and be like, therapist in Boston. He's like choking him out. You're like, jeez, that's some rough therapy.
It's a Boston thing.
I've never had a therapist. Has anyone here had a therapist?
Oh,
Is that what
yeah.
it's like?
No.
Is that what it's like?
Not so
Tears
far,
shed?
luckily.
No strangling?
No strangling,
that's so- like, oh, that's next week's lesson. Or session or whatever. Yeah, whatever you call it.
Lesson, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Lesson. Yeah, next week's lesson. No, I had a friend who was suffering from depression, so I, like a good friend in high school, made fun of him for it. And he's like, I'm taking medications that will kick in 6 weeks from now. And I'm like, oh, they got you on a freaking scam, dude. You have medications that don't even take place for 6 weeks. And I was making fun of him. Thankfully, he did not kill himself, so I don't have to live with that guilt for the rest of my life. But I think he's doing all right, I haven't heard from him.
So.
I think
Not
he's
only
all
is
right.
this therapy session, it's confession as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ty does this every
Yeah.
podcast. He always confesses about stuff. He's like, oh, I got to
Confess
get it
about
all
the
off my
darkest
chest.
thing. I got to get off my chest, guys, so I can sleep at
It's a
night.
safe space.
Yeah. I didn't say his name, so I don't think he would mind, you know? Brad. There is no Brad. I was making a joke. Everybody calm down. Everyone's like, that was super heavy. Don't make fun of people with,
No,
you know,
it was just dumb.
crippling depression. That's wrong.
Yeah.
I was just, anyway,
All right,
whatever.
it was a good
Let's get
movie.
into-
We recommend it. Yeah.
The end.
Let's end the podcast.
Wait,
no.
We end every podcast by sharing movies that
Wait,
we've seen
what
lately.
about quotes?
Oh,
Would you
quotes.
recommend?
Cameron,
Jordan
quote it.
Karen has a quote. Go ahead, quote the movie. I actually had a lot of quotes prepared, but they all included "F you." So it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you're the shepherd. So anyway,
Well, I thought there was a great introduction to Sean as a therapist and just teaching a class. And he's like, nail them while they're vulnerable. That's my motto. And then everyone in the class laughs like, oh, so we are awake. He's like, everyone's paying attention now. Mm-hmm. And just like,
Seize the day, Cameron. Seize the day.
wrong movie.
Chuck, I had a double burger. Will you shut the fudge up? I know what you ordered. Okay, I was there.
I love, dude.
That's the most
Casey
real line
and-
of this
yeah,
whole movie. Yes.
I know what you ordered. I was there. Oh my god.
We have to be such a.
They're such brothers. It's so funny.
What am I, sandwich fetching welfare, huh?
And I love Sean when he's like, I teach this shiz. I didn't say I know how to do it.
Sean's perfect.
Yeah, that's all my quotes. But I mean, just the how do you like them apples is just the best. scene.
The one I wrote down
it's so
was
good.
when Lambeau or I can't remember his name. Lambeau.
Lambo.
Well, he's like, it's Pierre or whatever, and he's like, that's French for club soda, which is another great moment that encapsulates their relationship so well, because you have Lambeau that loves the appearance of high class, wealth, intellect, but it's kind of a facade because, again, he's trying to live up to what he never was able to accomplish, so he projects that onto Will. So I like it when he's like, it's club soda. Robin Williams is the pragmatist, the realist, the very genuine person. He's like, he's trying to impress you with this stuff. Like Pereira, it's just club soda. It's just a great way to show their dynamic and their polar opposites of each other. So the yin and yang, it's great. But I think their whole relationship and their dynamic really sums up in that line right there. So any other quotes, Cameron?
I had one, but it just slipped my mind. LB, did you have any?
Not any new ones that people haven't said, no.
What do I think? I think I'm about to cut your ear off. It's like, and maybe I should change my name to Vincent and move to the south of France. That was a Vincent Van Gogh joke, and I actually got that because I think Vincent Van Gogh cutting his ear off is the funniest thing. I find it funny to this day.
It's like concerning.
He cut it off, waited in line at the post office, mailed his ear to his wife or his then girlfriend at the time. Can you imagine her opening up the severed ear in a package and she being impressed by it? What the
Thinking
fuck,
it's like a
dude?
ransom or something.
No, probably thinking, yeah. So like, my husband's being held hostage. Like, oh, by his art. He's a tortured artist, mind you. She's like, I think it's time for a divorce. We're breaking up. No way. No way you stay together with that guy.
Unless she's-
you might think that she's waiting for a ring. She's like, oh, he's gonna propose. Ah, what the fuck? What the freak is this?
Unless she's crazy and she got it like on a necklace and like next time
Probably
she
ate
sees
it.
him.
Yeah, she
Oh.
just ate it.
Made for each other.
Keep it on a necklace. I love it, dude. What was that? The Walking Dead, right? Earl? Or what's his Merv? Or what's his name? Merv. What's his name? Myrtle. What's his fetching name? Daryl.
Myrtle.
Daryl.
Man, you were like Harry
Murph.
Potter.
No,
You got
I
all over
remember
place.
the quote
Good,
that I
Interstellar.
thought, oh, freak, it just slipped my mind. 'cause
We're
you kept
done with
talking.
quotes. Okay, no, go ahead. You have a quote.
Oh, yeah, I just love his dynamic with Skylar, because I just love when she's just like, when she kind of like confronts him, is like, hey, I was waiting over there for you to come talk to me. You didn't talk to me. And then she's like, well, here's my number. Maybe you could like call me. We could go for coffee sometime. He's like, oh, maybe we could just go melt some caramels and eat some caramels together.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, because this is as arbitrary as that. And you're just like, what a strange
You're
line to lead with. She
cool.
just said that she thought she was like, that she was essentially into you and wanted to take you to go get coffee. And it just shows how he's like always trying to prove his intellect of like, oh, I'm really smart. And just like, I'm not like normal people. And she's just like, okay.
She's like,
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what's good for him as well, is she doesn't like him
You're
for
right.
his
You're not a
intelligence.
normal person. You're
That she doesn't like him for his like brain, but she just likes him for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, she needs a low-value male. Shut your lips. Be quiet. The women are talking. I'm saying a movie like this could really benefit from an all-female cast. So they should remake this. Get on
Stop.
it. Paramount or 20th Century Fox, whoever owns this.
LB, did you have anything else you wanted to say about the movie?
It's perfect. Everything's perfect. I recommend it. It's totally rewatchable. There's not enough women in it.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy could
That's
play
it.
Robin Williams
The
in the
end.
remake. Maybe she could don a beard.
Oh gosh, no. She would make a terrible therapist.
It'd be great. And she could like do a bunch of fart jokes, but she would be the one farting in the sleep while they're in the lecture.
I
and
don't
she'd
think
be
you could
farting
remake
while
Robin
giving
Williams'
therapy.
character. That'd be so hard.
No, this
That's my
movie
point,
almost
guys,
doesn't
but-
even work without him.
No.
Okay, I really feel like you guys are taking me at my word. I am being facetious. I am joking here. You guys are like, oh no, not Melissa McCarthy in a
Yes,
beard.
but
Do you hear what I'm saying?
When you say it 7 times, Ty.
You guys start to believe it. All right, folks, we end every movie podcast by sharing movies. Oh, would you recommend this movie? Yes.
Absolutely.
A lot of language, but again, the movie's based in Boston, and that's just how they greet each other. That's how they say
Yeah, and
hello.
if you haven't seen it, you need to see it at least once.
They say, fudge you! That's how they say hello. So, everybody, would you recommend the movie?
Yeah.
Said yes.
Everybody said yes. No disclaimers, nothing. Just let anybody watch this thing. Okay. This movie is not for everybody. That's what I would say. It is a feel-good movie, but watch Dead Poet Society. If you're so starved for a feel-good movie, I don't know, watch Patch Adams or something else.
That is
and then
not
maybe
a
work up to
feel-good
this.
movie. That's a
It
sad
isn't.
movie.
Not. Bad example, but anyway.
I think Dead Poet Society is more sad and like doom and gloom than this. Because
for sure.
Dead Poet Society ends on a negative note. This one ends on a positive
What?
note.
Oh, Captain by Captain is a negative note?
It's depressing.
Standing up to the
The
tyranny,
kid
man.
killing himself, kind of, you know.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a down.
I'll do it for some- I was literally waiting for you to quote that. Drake.
I love that quote.
It's like the cry that Cedric Diggory's dad does
Yeah.
in Harry Potter 4. Whoa!
I thought that was
Best
beautiful.
cry, dude. Oh, it was good.
I
It just
know. It
always
was
makes me laugh.
so sad.
good. That's
Stop
okay.
making
It's
fun
just-
of it.
Ty tries to avoid emotion at all costs.
Yeah.
Exactly. In this podcast, notice I
Yeah.
was skirting the line.
He doesn't like any movies with emotion.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
it, like Manchester
Okay.
by the Sea,
Cynical.
he's like, oh, it's the worst movie. I'd never watch it ever again because I almost felt something.
It almost got me to feel. That's not
That's
true.
why
I'll
he
find a
watches only
sad
Disney
movie that I
movies, because
like.
he knows he will never feel again.
Yeah, happy.
No,
Soulless.
yeah, I'll
You're
never
just
be
as soulless
sad.
as the
Yeah, I'll just
corporation
be-
Disney, Ty.
I'm just getting bombarded with this garbage. I'm like, at least it's safe. It's safe to consume.
Ty's ready once they just hook him up with an IV and just start pumping in stuff into his brain. And
It's like the
Disney
Tim and Eric
content.
sketch. We just put this IV drip in your arm and it fills you with emotions that'll sink you to the movie. Oh my gosh. It's so funny. All right, folks. We end every movie podcast by sharing movies that we've seen lately, movies that we're looking forward to. Lindsay, have you seen any movies lately? Something you're looking forward to?
No, because I'm much more of a TV show person, and so I just consumed
What are you watching?
Stranger Things.
It doesn't have to be a movie. Stranger Things. What do you think? You like it?
Oh, yeah. Do I like it? Of course I like
Yeah,
it.
I guess you're not allowed to not like it. Okay, I was just curious. I like season 1.
Oh.
So where does 4 rank? Is it the best of the 4 seasons? or
No,
what?
it's
I think
not.
second best.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's not the
it's not better
best,
than
but
one.
it's
Are
still
you crazy?
good.
I think second or third best.
Yes.
Oh,
After the
okay.
first, it goes.
I think this was
it goes
definitely
first,
better than
fourth,
it's definitely better
second,
than
third.
season 3, and I think it rivals season 2.
No, I love
better than
season
season
2.
2.
I love the pumpkin season.
Yeah, I just felt like season 3 was kind of copy and paste of season 1 a little too much, and I thought I enjoyed how this one went a different route because it was just like the same monster from. It was just like, oh, it's the bigger monster, and I was just like,
Yeah, I could see that.
And I just felt uncomfortable with the whole Billy and trying to get Mike's mom to cheat with him. I was like, what the fudge is happening?
There had to be a little spice in there.
It's a beautiful relationship, Cameron. How dare you judge it? Love knows no age.
Yep, that's what
Yes, it does.
Are you
That's what I
looking
was
forward to
watching.
anything?
Stranger Things season 5.
Which surprised? Did I get lied to? I thought this was going to be the final season.
No, there's one more.
Never. Well, I know there is now. What I'm saying is, did you ever believe that this season was supposed to be the
No,
last?
you got to
No,
check
I-
your
th-
sources.
I read
don't
an
know where
article.
you heard
I
that.
read an article, and it was like, "Are
I
you
don't-
worried about Stranger
I
Things
just
ending?
think-
No worries. Part 2 has one episode that's an hour and a half long, and the final episode's 2.5 hours long." I'm like, "Oh, good. So they'll have plenty of time to wrap it up 800 times."
I
like
just
Lord
think
of
they
the Rings.
never announced. I think when you probably looked, they just never announced a season 5. So a lot of people
Oh, okay, got
assumed that there wasn't
It's the
going
final
to be,
season.
but they never ever said.
I guess
we're
I
done.
also felt like the show was kind of dwindling, so I was like, "You better end it on a high note, otherwise you go into Stranger Things season 7, and you're like,
Oh,
these
gosh.
kids are all grown and depressed and middle aged."
All right, we got to
man,
move on
it's
before you
crazy.
taint
Yes.
Stranger Things.
Hey, first season's great. I love it. 4 is the best things I've seen since season 1. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, it was really good. See,
Anyway,
that's the underlying layer. Ty just gave his Boston response, and then the underlying layer was that he actually really enjoyed it, and he says the second best season he's seen.
Take the layers off. Layers. It's all about layers.
Peel it
Ty's an
back,
ogre.
you know.
Yeah.
I'm Boston at
Ty and
heart.
Shrek are one and the same.
Shrek.
That's a good
And
comparison,
look,
actually.
Sarah, yeah, I am Shrek, dude.
Cynical,
What
but-
are you doing? My swamp.
It's a pretty big cast, so I think it's
Dude, that Shrek movie, pretty raunchy. We should freaking rewatch that
amazing.
for the podcast.
I rewatched that with mom and dad and
It's
Kelsey.
not. I am giving. It is not a kids movie. It's a
is
fetching
so
adult
good.
movie.
Oh, but there's so much. It's just like Three Amigos. Half the dialogue goes right over your head. You go, ha ha ha, and your parents are dying, and you're like,
And some
why?
definitely didn't go over my head because I knew what they were talking about. Anyway, watch the scene with Donkey and the dragon. I'm telling you, listen to what Eddie Murphy is going on. He talks so fast that you don't hear a lot of it.
No, yeah,
But
absolutely.
I could pick up on everything he was saying, and I was like, oh. Oh my gosh. That's horrifying. So, anything you're looking forward to? We already asked that.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
and she
we
said,
covered it.
Stranger Things 5.
Yep.
Or 6, whatever it is.
and then also probably the new season of what's the coach movie that you love?
Coach movie.
I always forget the soccer coach.
Ted Lasso.
Ted
Season
Lasso.
1
Thank
was
you.
amazing. Oh my god.
I cannot wait for Ted Lasso. Thanks for telling. Yes, that's my other favorite show. It's so freaking good.
Nice.
Yep.
Ty couldn't get into it either, but we won't get into
No,
that.
I couldn't afford it. Sorry, I can't watch it on Apple TV.
It's $5 a month.
Yeah, it's 5 too many. Can you make it?
Well, I
$9 a
literally
month?
am subscribed. He could watch it now, but that's okay. Because he
That's
bums
true,
off
too.
my account anyways.
See, you have no excuses.
Yeah.
I have excuses. I have morals. Okay, I don't pay
Yeah,
for my Disney
Ty's-
Plus. I don't pay for my Netflix.
If you
I
watch
leech off of
Goodwill
other people like a
Hunting,
good
you don't
person.
have morals. There's so many F words in that. You can watch Ted Lasso. You can do it.
Exactly.
It's not a morality. Listen,
yeah,
Lindsay,
Ty
this is
watches-
not.
Ty
This
watches
is
The
not
Boys
a
with us.
matter.
It's-
Yeah, this is
It's
not a
it's
matter
whether
of
or not
content
he
that
has
I
a
would
soul.
find inappropriate.
That is
yes.
already determined. He has
Well,
no
great.
soul.
Then you have no excuses. Watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, but I am
think
curious though, by season 2, were you just still watching it because you just love the character so much, or does it get better by the end? Because I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm like, it's just not really getting into it.
I think
Might say.
keep watching it. I think it gets better, but I mean, part of it is I just love the characters. But yeah, no, I think the story gets better as you watch it.
Okay, because I just feel like they wrapped it up in such like a perfect little bow at the end of the season 1.
I think this
Yeah.
this could be this is like we all know this movie, right? Am I not wrong in this? There's a coach that's misunderstood that has to come and do his
Oh my
team.
gosh, Ty
It's about
thinks
the
he knows
journey,
together.
Ty.
Yeah, I know, but I'm like, you
It's
can
the
do this
same
in
reason
one
he's like,
movie.
oh, you don't watch this movie because I know exactly the
No,
plot.
you need to watch it.
No, you
It's
don't.
good.
That's the whole point of the movie.
I watched the
Ty.
first episode and I feel like there's just no way I could see something that I don't understand about just the pilot. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Ty's
I
like
guess I should give it a
Skarsgård.
chance. He's wasting his potential. Be watching art films.
You're missing out.
Subscribe to Bong Joon-ho and better directors, Kurosawa and everything. Anyway.
All right, Cameron,
All right,
talk
everybody.
about what you've seen.
Or
are
so
we
I
looking
watched.
at- oh.
I watched some of True Detective with Jordo. Pretty bonkers.
Episode 4 and 5 and 6 rather than
Far
1, 2, and 3.
Sword.
Did you watch all of it? Did you start from the beginning?
No,
No, we
Jordan
didn't have
started-
time.
I knew it. See, he's like,
We
let's
didn't
start
have
episode
time.
3.
And he didn't even start me at the beginning of episode 3. We're like 5 minutes in. He's like, "Can I just get to the good stuff?" And I'm
No,
like,
we're
Lindsay,
episode 4. It's
Yeah,
episode
listen
4.
to this. Listen to this, Lindsay.
like-
You think I'm I'm a whatever. Jordan's like, oh, you guys, we have to watch this show. It's 6 episodes long. And he's like, just watch episodes 4, 5, and 6.
What?
I'm like, so you're saying half of the show is unwatchable?
No,
It
it's
doesn't
just
matter?
boring. Nothing happens. And then
You're right. You remind me of Grant, though. Grant will be like, there's a bunch of dialogue scenes that are really
Yeah.
boring. I'm like, it's called plot. It's called character
in
development. You
Synchronic
need
when
the
Grant's
scenes
like,
of the dialogue.
"Oh, I didn't even know that like that
I didn't
happened."
know that this character. Yeah, he's like, I didn't know that Darth Vader was Luke's father. Such a
I also watched
Love you, Grant.
me and Kelsey. We looked up 10 worst reality dating TV shows, and we started watching Are You the One? It's so funny, dude. It's some of the dumbest human beings I've ever seen on
Yikes.
screen.
So you like things that are so bad that it's good and mocking them? How is this any different than me watching Disney Plus shows?
Because they're not so bad that it's good. They're just bad. I never ever watched one of those bad. Like when I watched Eternals, I
Have you
only
watched
watched all that
Kenobi?
stuff because I watched all that stuff just because I am a superhero nerd, and that's why I gave it the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, I need to check this off my list, and that even when
So
I watched
where-
it, I
where
would
did
play
you fall
Mario
off?
Kart because
Yeah.
I couldn't even enjoy it. I was literally
Right.
playing Mario Kart, and I'd like
So where
glance
did
every
you
once in a
fall
while.
off? Like what? You haven't watched anything since
Dude,
what?
anything after Endgame, I was just like, oh boy. Like,
Done.
The
Endgame.
Spider-Man was
It's funny
decent.
that Endgame wasn't the end. You know, it's the beginning of the final.
Spider-Man
phase.
was decent, but everything after that, I don't know. It's just like, well, it's because like I watched the first Iron Man because we were rewatching some of the Marvel with Kelsey.
You did win to see Love and Thunder though in theaters, didn't you?
Yeah, well, my boss paid for it, and man, holy, yeah.
See, you guys mock me. You sound just like me. I'm like, I won't pay the subscription service. You're like, oh, I only went to see it in theaters because my boss paid. Anyway, I'm just saying, you guys sound exactly like me.
No, we're not exactly. We're not the same.
Yes.
Don't even
yes.
try.
We're exactly the same. We are one.
But yeah, so Are You the One? It's just like it's this show with 10 people, or it's 20 people, and there's 10 matches who they decide is your perfect match. And if you get all 10 perfect matches after the 10 weeks, then you win $1 million. And the people are so dumb because they'll find out. And each week they show you how many matches there are, but they don't tell you who is a match. And man, they don't bring in strategy into the show until like week 8, and they're so dumb because like they'll find out they're not a match and they're not going to win the $1 million if they sit next to this person, and they keep sitting next to each other because they're like, but I love them. And you're like, do you want $1 million or not? It is so funny. We just laughed the entire time.
That sounds
So,
terrible.
quick question: have you watched Love Is Blind? Because
Yeah, I saw that on
that
Netflix.
show is bonkers. Yeah,
that was one that
show
we
is
were
insane.
considering as well.
Again, they say Love Is Blind, but like, it's not toned up because they talk to each other through a wall, and all the black people and all the white people end up together. So, of course, the first season there was one couple that was biracial, but I thought it was funny. They're like, Love Is Blind. I'm like, and yet all the couples ended up together. I guess it's through their dialogue they figured out they're black, or maybe they brought it up and they never showed it, but they had the premise that love is blind. I'm like, it was not blind.
But
Just
then,
saying.
what I'm looking forward to is I want to watch Atonement with Keira Knightley and James McAvoy. Jordan won't tell me what movie it's like, but he says it's really good.
Well, because
and
that would
so
spoil it.
I know.
It looks like
Don't
is
stop.
Is it a romantic comedy though? Because it looks like it looks
Comedy?
no different than
You
Pride and
clearly
Prejudice.
have no
you might
idea.
think it's a comedy because you're psycho.
A skinny, pale, white
Anyway.
British boy love interest. with
Anyway,
Keira Knightley.
and then I'm also
How is it different than Pride and Prejudice?
Oh my gosh, you're
A different title.
I actually hope you go in watching it and thinking that. because-
Thinking that? Yeah, I've heard it's like, I heard it's something else.
I don't care
but-
what you've heard. And then I've also seen, or I'm also looking forward to Snatch. Our boy Justin, who's been on the podcast
Great
multiple
movie.
times, he recommended it. He's like, "Are you kidding me? How are you, Brad
I
Pitt's biggest fan?"
recommended
Well, and Ty's also recommended it, and he's like, "How
Guy
have you
Ritchie.
not seen this?"
It's the most Guy Ritchie film of all time. Yes.
So I'm super excited to watch that. And then there was a couple. I tried watching. I'm halfway through Maelstrom. It's very Denny. It's very Denny.
Maelstrom?
Maelstrom. I don't know how to
Cameron,
say
you
it.
keep pronouncing it like molested. It's Maelstrom.
Maelstrom, whatever.
Maelstrom.
Maelstrom.
Yeah, but
Molestum.
Molestum.
Maelstrom. I don't know. I thought it was Maelstrom
Maelstrom.
because it's Maels.
It's not molestrum, I promise you. There's no other word.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's weird. I need to get back in. I fell asleep because it was as soon as the fish started talking, I was like, "What the fudge am I watching?" But
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
it's
I
just
don't even know this movie. What is this movie?
It's a Denny
Denny.
Villeneuve.
It's Denny's foreign
Denny
film.
Villeneuve?
It's just all in French, and I'm just like, and half the time I'm like, what is going on? And it's about like an abortion, and I'm lost. So I'm so lost
it's
so
a
far.
lot like Enemy.
Enemy,
Okay, I'll
but like
send an
it's
invite.
like Enemy, and Jordan said without the spiders, it's fishes, and that's honestly the most accurate description I could have ever seen.
Right on, right on. There you go. Well, I'm very much looking forward. Oh, well, I guess what I've seen lately, guys.
I can't believe you haven't watched Better Call Saul. I just have to say it right now. I'm so mad at you.
I'm very much looking forward to Better Call
All the
Saul.
new
It's probably the
episodes.
best TV show. I know. There's 2 episodes now, right? Of season
You're the one
6
who's like
final.
nonstop talking about it, and then I watch it before you.
Yes. It's not okay. I'm a
Hypocrite.
busy man.
What?
I'm consuming. I'm watching. Alone
Watching
right
lots
now.
of
He's
Disney
watching Miss
crap.
Marvel instead of watching Better Call Saul.
I'm watching. Okay, there's another dad joke for you. I'm watching the show Alone with my wife, so we watch Alone together. Anyway, it's a great show. It's a survivalist show about people in the Alaskan wilderness, and they have to survive 100 days, or they get $1 million out in the wilderness. And people like tap out like after like 2 or 3 weeks. They haven't eaten any food. They lose like 68 pounds. They're literally starving to death, and they're like, "I'm going home." Like, you want to talk about a real cool reality show? That's the one. Check out Alone. It's
yeah, I want to see
bonkers.
people suffer and hunger.
It's great though, because like they come into contact with bears, they hunt, they fish, they gather. It's insane.
I
And
just
I'm like,
watched The Revenant.
maybe if I watch enough of this, I could survive 5 minutes longer out in the wild than I would otherwise. You know, not even that.
Is
dude.
it just
It's
like
insane the stuff they go
Netflix's
through.
version of Survivor? Because isn't that that's what Survivor
No,
is?
Survivor, they vote each other
No.
off. Yeah, it's nothing like this. This is this is Survivor without reality. It's
Or is it
literally
like Naked and Afraid?
Journal-
Isn't that another one? That was...
Oh yeah.
It probably is. I never watched Naked and Afraid, also because it's and afraid. Okay, no thanks.
Didn't James
This
Franco
is-
though do it? Like,
Did he?
It sounds like something he would
Jordan
do.
probably would seek that out. He's like, do you get to see James Franco's?
Gosh.
That was Jordan, dude. He's like, do I got to see James Franco?
I think they did it
Leave
as
it to
a
you,
joke, like him and
Seth Rogen and
Rogen.
James Franco go naked out in the
Probably.
woods together. Yeah, I felt like they
I
did
think
that.
they
And,
did.
and
They
he
did a
probably
parody.
mentioned 127 hours at least like 6 times.
He's like, I watched my film, 127. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know about any of that, but these are like real survivalists that live out in the wilderness, and it's fascinating to watch. So I definitely recommend it. It's by far one of the most entertaining and gripping things I've ever seen because it's just very real. Like I said, they say reality TV is not real. Like, yes, there are definitely things. I know when you watch it, Jordan, you'll catch like,
And then
like,
off screen, they're all
required
eating
to film-
cheeseburgers.
yeah, exactly. No, but what's wild is like you literally see like them losing the weight. Like you can see their faces. Like you can see the
CGI'd?
cheekbones. Yeah, CGI, right? Yeah, they just hit all that
CGI.
stuff. It's just a great show. I highly recommend Alone. It's the 8th season. They only have 1 season on Netflix
Coming
now.
from the person who hates
watched
movie
7.
title or TV show titles like that, when Ty makes fun of you
Alone?
at least
Have you seen
the TV show
Okay,
you at least
to
once a
be
week.
fair, Alone is at least like I don't know, an adjective, not like a pronoun.
But speaking of that, also
I love
I'm
being alone.
I'm
It's-
curious.
I love Alone.
I'm curious to see the
Doesn't
movie
make sense.
Nope by Jordan Peele. I've heard
Nope.
reviews.
Oh,
I've
it's
heard that
already
it was
out?
like I watched
It's
the
out?
dude and he talked about it. It comes out
It's
Friday.
not out yet. It comes out Friday. I probably would go see that one. I'll probably go see that one. I'm at least excited
I'm gonna
to
go.
be like.
I'm gonna go in with the
is he-
expectations of us, and then
Is he
be
doing the
satisfied with
Jared
anything
Leto?
more.
Is he Jared Leto or M Night Shyamalan? Where Jordan Peele is literally just getting worse with
I
every
feel like
single
he
consistent
is an
movie
M. Night
he makes.
Shyamalan. He is
Dude,
totally.
he is. He literally is following the
Hey, but
same
M Night
trajectory.
Shyamalan killed it with Split, so he did have a revival a couple times.
Well, that's because he
Killed
wrote
it.
that
I think
script.
James McAvoy killed
Yeah.
Split. I mean, M Night Shyamalan could have made any movie, but without James McAvoy's performance, I don't know.
Oh,
Anyway.
but Ty has your
He
favorite
made me
girl.
believe there was 28%.
Yeah, Ty has your freaking
No, but to be
wife. Oh
fair,
my
she's
gosh.
pretty much a block of wood in that movie, but she gets much better later on in other movies, like Witch and, freaking, I don't know, I thought she was pretty good in, Thoroughbreds is like one of the best things she's in. But I also really like Edgar Wright's, Last Night in Soho. I thought that was good. And then, of course,
Did you watch Emma?
We're
Is
talking
she
about
any good in
Anna
that?
Taylor-Joy.
I haven't watched that show,
obsessed
the
with her.
chess movie,
Oh,
right?
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, of course she knows what I'm talking about. She's like the greatest upcoming actress of all time.
Oh,
She'd
yeah, I
be
think you
great.
mean Anna de Armas.
She does need to stop being such a typecast of like the sad, depressing, bleak movie because she just did that Viking movie, and I'm like, you can distance
The
yourself from
Northman.
the weird stuff. You don't have to be like kind of like the Scream Queen or whatever. She's like typecast as like I'm the girl that has
I don't
kicked
think
in her
so.
face. I don't know. Just get the sense that she's always in like sad, bleak. Maybe with the chess thing, she's gonna break away from that.
Or
I just
maybe
wanna see
after
her
being
other roles.
Furiosa in a Mad Max movie. Oh my gosh.
Is she gonna be Furiosa?
Yeah,
See,
they're
there you
gonna
go.
do a prequel.
Live up to. She is an actress that could live up to like Charlize Theron. I totally believe that for sure. So anyway, Jordan, what are you watching? What are you looking forward to seeing?
My wife and I are watching Severance, which Red Letter Media
Dude, I wanna
recommended
see
it.
that.
Fun.
I do want to see that. Adam Scott, really looking forward to seeing that one.
But her sister.
Is it like being John Malkovich at all? Because that's what I keep thinking of every time I see it. He's got like a little Adam Scott in his brain.
Oh no! What
Makes
did
me
it
think of being
remind
John
me of?
Malkovich.
It's just like a Black Mirror episode. That's all it is.
Black Mirror. Got
I
it.
just
Okay. Black Mirror.
Tatiana's sister, though's like, it's the best writing I've ever seen. I'm like, all right, calm down.
Yeah, we need you to take a
It's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. It's not the best
That's
writing.
right.
I'm gonna need you to settle down.
Yeah,
Whoa,
it's,
hey, settle down.
it's Craig Zoller. He's up there.
Ah, good. Oh, really? You wrote the show?
No, I'm saying he's
Oh,
one
Craig
of my favorite
Zoller is
writers.
up there.
Yeah.
Like, have you heard of Craig Zoller? So I thought you said he wrote it, and I was like, whoa, definitely intrigued to see it now. But
No, he doesn't make movies anymore because Hollywood sucks. 'Cause he doesn't make Superman.
which is why we're still doing a movie
Superman
podcast.
trash.
Oh,
Talking about
folks.
old movies, though.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and then
It's
looking
like,
forward to finishing
people
Better
like
Call Saul. I want to talk about it, but I gotta wait because Ty hasn't watched it yet.
Well, we're going to talk about every episode as they air. I guess we can. If you want to,
Well,
I'll
just
start
at
watching them.
least say
Stay
whether or
current.
not you're loving it.
I just want to binge watch it. I can't handle it anymore. I waited 6 long years.
You sound like Grant, and then Grant now he's not like, I don't know if I'm even gonna watch The Boys. I'm like, what is
I
wrong
know.
with you? You sicko.
That's
To be
okay.
fair, I
still
haven't finished The Boys season 3.
I haven't
That is
finished
true.
Cobra Kai
I haven't
yet.
What?
I know.
You haven't finished Cobra Kai? What's the matter
Yeah,
with you?
I haven't even started. I haven't seen that.
Lindsey, before you watch any Manchester by the Sea, go watch Cobra Kai season 1.
Okay.
It is the most fun you could possibly have with
It
any
is a lot of
streaming service.
cheese, but it's fun.
It is
Super cheese.
It is the most fun you can have.
Okay.
The most fun.
Super
That's
cheese,
good to know.
high
It's
nostalgia.
cheesy. Okay.
Yes, extra cheese.
In the
And
spirit of James
Better
Franco,
Call
it's the
Saul.
most fun you
Should
can
I
have
watch
with your. However, it is
I
more
love
fun
that.
with your.
Okay, good to know.
That's 127 hours, right? Or did I say the quote wrong? You mentioned
Oh, it is
Alone
127
and-
hours,
I
yeah.
thought you were quoting Pineapple Express.
Actually, it's just real life James Franco. Before
Yeah, probably.
Oh,
allegations
no.
of assault.
Wait,
Oh,
what?
folks.
Yeah,
Don't
he
meet your
got
heroes. It doesn't
canceled.
matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Keep the show moving. We don't
As
throw
are
James
most of the
Franco,
men in
our
Hollywood
boy.
because they're all men.
Okay.
No, yeah.
I got my research
men.
cut out for me.
They
Okay.
couldn't possibly help themselves.
And Better Call Saul. I should watch that.
That's on Netflix. It's
yeah, you like boring things too, right? You like boring things? No, and I say that because I think it's one of my top 10 favorite TV shows of all time.
Really?
But it's very slow. My
It's
wife
very
says
slow.
it's too boring. And I'm like, my wife says it's too boring. She will not watch it with me, to put in perspective.
yeah, and my
I
mom said it's
love
too
it.
intense. I mean, stressful. Stressful. is the word,
Stressful.
yeah. Because it's just
have
like
did you
I'll
watch
try it.
Breaking Bad when it was out? Did you watch Breaking Bad?
I didn't like it.
Okay,
It's
so
a spin-off series from Breaking Bad.
It is a spin-off series,
It's,
but
it's
I
Saul
would say
Goodman. He's the lawyer from.
it's a very different
Breaking
feel.
Bad.
It's literally a character study about how he becomes a sleazy lawyer.
Okay,
But he's
I
actually a
have heard
good
of that.
guy that slowly develops into this sleazy lawyer, and it's kind of heartbreaking to watch. And it's 6 seasons of this guy's train wreck of a life. You know it's coming to a head because he's still very likable. You still care about him very much. And I'm like, they have half a season to wrap this up and turn him into the guy that I hate or love to hate. But like, he's so good that he's a great character.
Okay.
But it's just an amazing
They
character
do it in
show.
the next and the
So subtle.
in the second episode. Ty, they jump.
Don't. I don't even
I
know.
just-
I know. I can't handle it.
I'm
I need
trying
watch
to
it
wait
now.
to talk to you
I
about
know.
it.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying. It's the best TV show like out there. Seriously.
Yeah,
It's
except
right
you're
now.
waiting to watch it.
I wanted to binge watch it.
Except
We
Invincible,
already did a
dude. They
review
need
on-
Invincible should be
Invincible's
coming
great.
out with their new season this
Oh,
summer.
please. Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
Invincible's a great show, Lindsay.
I
Pretty
haven't
violent.
seen that
Lots of fun.
either. Okay, good. I need some good shows to watch. This is
Okay,
good.
yeah.
It's-
Put the Gilmore
it's
Girls
very
down
violent.
and start watching the stuff that.
But I
we're
don't know if you'll
recommending
like
to you.
Invincible.
I don't think you will either.
Yeah.
My wife did actually, and my brothers-in-law
Why
did too.
not?
so-
I don't know me
Wait,
that
what?
well.
Maddie liked it?
Maybe I will.
She liked Invincible, yeah. I mean, she obviously looked away at certain undisclosed parts that I won't mention here. but yeah.
So at the very beginning of it, it's going to feel like just a cliche cartoon, but once it gets to the end, you got to actually see where it goes.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
It is a
But
cartoon.
it has some of the best voice acting I've ever seen in my life. It's
Yeah.
got
It
J.K.
is
J.K.
TVMA
Simmons
though,
is
so yeah,
unbelievable.
you shouldn't be disillusioned because it's a cartoon that it's for kids.
It's not for
No.
kids.
It's not a show for
not.
kids.
I wasn't thinking
Yes.
that. I just
Okay.
I have a hard time
Well,
with
you
cartoons.
asked if it's a cartoon.
Sometimes. But
Real quick, when you say you have a hard time with cartoons, what on earth do you mean?
You don't
You
watch
have a hard
Disney
time
cartoon
watching
movies?
cartoons?
I'm more drawn to like real faces. So when it's a cartoon, I have to be in a very specific mood.
Yeah. Got to watch that body language.
Yeah.
But of course, if it was animated by Pixar, you'd have no problem
No,
loading up the
don't
gals,
assume.
going to the. Yeah, okay, I'm just saying.
You're the one
sitting there watching
consuming
Inside
all the
Out with
garbage
you're
trash.
bawling your eyes out. Oh, bingo! The purple imaginary friend is dying.
no.
No.
You don't know me.
You don't know.
Toby.
You said your favorite shows were Gilmore Girls and.
No, she
No, I
said
didn't.
before watching this.
I
Ty.
didn't say they were my favorite shows.
She
I
said
said
that
that's
that's
what
all
I
she used to
want.
How dare I
Wow.
put words in your mouth? Excuse me. Excuse
Thanks
me.
for the apology.
No, you're right. I am very cynical. Don't listen to anything I'm saying. I'm saying all the recommendations we're giving are things that we're obsessed with, but realize that like most of the people I know don't like the things that I do.
No,
So,
it's good.
Anyway, that's why we have
It'll
a podcast and we
expand
talk
my,
about it here.
my comfort zone.
Yeah, and then maybe you'd be like, oh, that's why they're the way they are.
Yeah, it'll give me some
Yeah.
context.
It definitely
Uh-huh.
will give an insight into our souls. and our
Okay.
minds.
Yes, because it's like a very cynical. It's like The Boys right now on Amazon Prime. It's just a very cynical take of the
On
actual culture we
superheroes.
live in, where like everything is superheroes. It's kind of funny to get like an
Anti.
counterculture thing, yeah, like against superheroes. It's
Okay.
like, hey, what if superheroes were bad and corrupt and psychotic? Like that.
Or what if they actually existed? This is what they would actually
Or
do.
if they actually existed, and what were the real life consequences of it? Yeah.
Okay.
So all different things. Very interesting. Much more interesting than anything in the Marvel universe right now.
Okay.
So, and DC. Sorry, DC's terrible too. Guys, we're going to end this podcast. Leave us an email, futuremovies@gmail.com. Leave us a 5-star review. Email us if you'd like us to review a movie. Find us those North Korean movies, or North Korean. North Korea has nothing good. South Korea. Tell us about those South Korean movies. Anything starring Kim Jong-un from North Korea. He's all
Korean
the characters.
movies.
Yeah, he saves the world every time.
All the
Pretty
movies
predictable.
about him.
All the movies about him.
Tommy
He wins
Wiseau
every time.
2.0.
Tommy Wiseau 2.0. No, South Korean films, foreign films, let us know because we love watching them, and some of them are crazy. And I don't want to sift through all the chaff from the wheat. I want to watch the good stuff. So recommend the good foreign films, not the crazy bonker stuff, like Happiness of Kuda Charisma or whatever.
Oh,
Jordan
that's
keeps
the
trying to get us
best! I can't wait to watch that. Are you
dude.
kidding me? Oh,
I know,
yes.
dude.
We're
Turn
gonna
to
watch
the
I'm
West.
so
Good
hesitant to watch
stuff.
Studio Ghibli after watching what's it called, Spirited Away.
Oh my gosh.
I have seen that.
It was so weird.
Yeah. Too much for me. Too much for me to.
I even watched that with Drew, and he was like, "Oh, like this stuff's so amazing," and he watched it. He's like, "That wasn't a good one to show you."
Yeah. Okay, so I rewatched The King. Just last thing I wanted to say, Timothy
my
Chalamet.
gosh,
That's
love
an
The
awesome
King.
movie.
Yes,
Highly recommend
there's a
The
movie
King.
you should watch.
It's a great movie. It's on Netflix. But I also want to watch The Last Duel. It's got Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and they're all a bunch of medieval guys wielding swords. Have you guys seen it?
It looked like women's rights movement, and that's all it looked like.
Dude, it literally, look at the reviews. It was like, it doesn't do enough to mock a misogyny or something like that. It made me laugh. I was like, I actually really want to see that now. Because it was like, it didn't do enough to dismantle the patriarchy or whatever. I guess they're like, hey, look at the time we used to live in. It was cool to pillage women. Like, how crazy is that? Dude, watch the North, or what was, the Northman. If you ever
what a
wanted to think
horrendous
that,
time to
how
be
horrific
anyone except
life
a
used to
male.
be.
Even to be a male, you just
Even
touch and
to
go.
be a male. Yeah, no one
Just
had it
what
easy.
a terrible
Let's put it
time
that
to
way.
be alive.
Jeez. Dude, I watch movies like that. I'm like, I am so grateful I live in the time we live in today. Yes. Holy crap, dude. That's that storming of that fortress.
If you want a movie that I think, Ty, I'm surprised you haven't recommended, is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I just watched that again. I had friends over to watch it for the first time. I've had people over since I've had kids to watch a movie, and I'm like, we're going to sit down and watch this movie. I don't think any of them got it. I don't think any of them liked it.
Oh,
And I was
really?
Like, I liked it even more.
Alex and Clinton loved it.
Yeah.
Raccoonie is masterful.
Raccoonie is so funny.
Okay.
Raccoonie. The raccoon. He cooks. He's a little chef under his hat.
Yeah, it's a parallel universe.
She's seen too much. So good, dude. We have hot dog fingers. Anyway, folks, good stuff. Life is good. So yeah, tune in next week. We're going to be talking about There Will Be Blood. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to talk about it. The best corrupt
It's not as good
capitalist
as
movie
Punch
there is
Drunk
out there.
Love, sorry.
It's a good movie. There's a lot of good movies by him, but I don't think I like any of them. This is actually probably the only one of his films that I've seen.
Oh, you mean
Maybe
The
if I got
Master,
to-
your favorite one?
No, Master. Yeah, you're right. See, I have seen another one of his films. Bleak and boring, depressing.
Dude,
Do you know what's
are
funny
you-
about The Master?
There
It
Will Be
literally is the
Blood
Joker.
is bleak
Yeah.
and boring. Okay, anyways, we'll talk about it next week.
There Will Be Blood is bleak and boring, but holy crap. Wait, real quick,
Okay.
Cameron, have you seen There Will Be Blood? Oh, I'll end the edit but have you seen There Will Be Blood? Oh, dude, okay. Very slow. I have to prepare you. It's so slow, but oh my gosh. Just wait, dude. Oh my gosh, we're talking about it next week. I can't wait.
Peace.
Okay, everybody, this has been Future Hit Movie Jump signing out. Peace. Boston, you suck.